Got one big report to get to. That was retail sales. That came out on Friday. One of the rare Friday reports. You know, Friday's usually kind of hit or miss, kind of like Mondays, interestingly enough. And we did get a big report on Friday. And I say big because retail sales, of course, are important, give us an overall kind of indication of what's happening with the economy. Because remember, 2/3 of GDP are consumption. So retail sales growing is a good indicator of what's happening with the overall economy. So what happened on Friday? Well, it wasn't good. It wasn't bad. It was flat. Or I should say it wasn't growing. It wasn't retracting, because we can look at this in many different ways, good or bad. But retail sales were flat in September. Advanced estimates of U.S. retail and food services were unchanged at $684 billion once again for the month of September, with retail sales up 8.2% year over year. So no change month over month, but year over year still up 8.2%, which means a lot of mixed categories. So some categories being up, some being down. You know, usually when you get a report like this, you know, it's either positive or it's negative, and then kind of all the categories follow suit. But when you have a report where the numbers are flat, it's all over the place. Some are up, some are down. So month over month, interestingly enough, miscellaneous retailers had the worst month with a 2.5% drop, followed by gas stations. They were down 1.4%. Electronic stores down 0.8%, and then furniture and sporting goods stores were both down 0.7%. But then on the flip side, for some, I don't even know why, department stores were up 1.3%. I don't know. Big sale, maybe. You know, you had, I guess, the Labor Day sale in September, maybe, is what drove everyone to the department stores. They were up 1.3%. Followed by general merchandise stores that were up 0.7%, and then clothing, health, restaurants, and online retailers were all up 0.5% month over month. So, I mean, just there's no patterns here. I mean, you got electronic stores down a little bit. You have clothing stores up a little bit. You have miscellaneous retailers with the biggest drop, department stores with the biggest increase. So yeah, I mean, interpret this data how you want it. There's no decoding it. There's nothing in here, I think, that can speak to what is happening with the overall economy. I mean, I'm not seeing it. Maybe it's there. I'm missing it. I'm not picking up on it, but it just seems like a very mixed report with no real indication of where people are moving their money, what they're buying. I mean, it's all over the place. Now, year over year, despite the monthly drop, gas stations, of course, because of gas prices still being up almost 20%, gas station spending is up year over year 20.6%, followed by online retailers. That kind of surprises me, because you would think that online retailers would be taking a hit now that we're out of the pandemic, because that's where everyone was shopping during those numbers were skyrocketing during the pandemic. So you feel like they'd still be getting some pullback from people being able to go out and shop, but not really. They're up 11.6 year over year. Restaurants and bars are also up, or very close to that same number, at 11.4%. And then home improvement stores, just missing double digits, up 9.7%. The only retailer that was down year over year, all the rest of them are positive. Those are just the top categories, but all the other retailers were positive except for one. Electronic stores were down 8.6%. So it's like, not only were they down, they're almost double digits down. And they were the only one that was in negative territory. So I don't know. Good luck. Now, I mentioned these numbers earlier weren't good or bad. It was just positive or negative. Arguably, these are bad numbers, because even though they're flat, these are not adjusted for inflation. This is the key factor of retail sales. They are not adjusted for inflation. And if you remember, we got the CPI report earlier last week, and it showed that prices were up 0.4% month over month. Well, if prices are up 0.4% and spending is flat, what can we deduce from that? We can pretty much figure out that sales, when adjusted for inflation, are down 0.4%. And then you can take that number and apply to the year over year data, up 8.2%. Inflation, right around 8.2%, which means that retail sales year over year are in fact flat. And that's an important kind of takeaway from this report, and something that I think sometimes gets lost because we're looking at, month over month, year over year. We're looking at this sort of, the dollar amount, not realizing that you need to adjust it for inflation. And when you adjust it for inflation, the numbers look far less positive. And it looks like this could be the first indicator that higher prices are really starting to hit consumers. Because we know it was eventually going to happen. I mean, consumers have been holding on for a lot longer than I think people thought. I mean, you go to the grocery store, you just see how much food prices are up. You go anywhere and see what's happening with prices. And the fact that retail numbers month over month have, kind of kept pace with inflation. I mean, look at that year over year number. I mean, breaking even. That's somewhat impressive, but that usually means that consumers are dipping into savings, they're borrowing money, credit cards, whatever it may be. And it looks like it may finally be catching up to them. And consumers are saying, okay, this is what we're spending. If we get less because of it, so be it. And so this could be a troubling sign for the economy. Everyone's been wondering, when's this recession going to hit? A lot of people saying we're already there. This is a sign that things are starting to pull back. And once again, consumption, 2/3 of GDP. And when you start seeing numbers like this, that it looks like spending is being pulled back because of prices, recession not far off. Not far off. So this could be the first, maybe this is an anomaly. Maybe next month we're going to see some great numbers, but a lot of people are saying, this could be the first sign.